Hey everybody, Obey the Papaya here. New patch notes for early access patch version 0.14. I want to discuss the most upcoming patches coming up. Let's get into it, but quickly, I guess if people are interested in my opinion real quick, I am not very excited about this patch. I just think this patch has brought literally nothing for how long it's taken. And I just think it's kind of an empty patch. It's nice we got Kwang, sure, but I think he's gonna implement just more issues that are already going on in Pred. But we'll get further, at the end of the video, my conclusion, I'll get more, of course, in depth with it. But let's start up. So we get Kwang. So Happy New Year. We got one more patch, I believe, right? Version 14 also. So they're saying that this is the second last big patch, I believe, from taking a look on the forums on Discord. So version 15, our next original hero very soon. So that's what we have to wait for. Hopefully some content, drops over there. So new hero, we got the reveal trailer already. It's pretty lame. You just see him throw the sword down, and that's kind of it. A little disappointing compared to the Wraith trailers and stuff that we got in, which I guess they rushed it due to Christmas break and all that. But it is what it is. And so we got the abilities. So his passive, this is I don't think this is actually the same. I know he had technically two passives in old Pred or old Paragon. It might actually be similar, but when Kwang damages enemies with abilities, he becomes energized electricity for 5 seconds. That stacks up to 3 times. So basically, he just gets on-hit damage every ability hit. And then when he has Strike of Heavens as the skill name, if he has it enabled and hits you, he now reduces basic ability cooldowns. That's all abilities except the ultimate by 0.5 seconds. That's actually a pretty big deal. That's going to be, once we take a look at what his actual cooldowns are, that can be huge, especially late game. That can be monstrous. Basic attack is just a basic with 80% bonus physical power, so not bad in terms of bonus physical. It's a little interesting seeing, I know he had a lot of magic power scaling, so it seems that, yeah, so see, this is all magic power. I think he uses a lot of magic power, so we'll take a look at that. This is probably why, what's it called? Magnify might stack really well on him. So Judgment of the Heavens is a primary. This is the Q ability. Kwang throws the Heavenly Blade up to 1650 units away. I wanted to look at what the blink was. I forgot what blink's units are. I looked at old Paragon, and it's pretty far distance. It's not necessarily too. I think it was a little bit more past. Blink distance. So if he hits you, it's kind of like a Sevrog route, but it tethers you and it does damage. Enemies hit by the blade will be tethered for 1.5 seconds. Recoiling the blade early breaks the tether. His secondary ability is the E. So let's take a look at the cooldown because those are important. So 13 seconds and 8 seconds late game. So this comes up pretty fast. This is his dash. Kwang dashes forward, dealing damage that scales off magic power. So once again, 2 magic power scaling items. This is going to be interesting because right here, when Blade is in the world, and if Kwang dashes within 300 units of it, he will summon it back to his hand with a crash of lightning. I assume this is similar to like a Zar's dash or something, maybe Kira dash. So, and when he summons it back and hits you, he knocks you up for 0.75 seconds. So he gets to basically have like two hard CC ability. Hard CC, mediocre hard CC, but it locks you in place, and then he gets hard CC with the knockup. So that's going to be pretty interesting, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like hard CC, especially in knockups. I think there's too many of that stuff in the current game right now. And if he's magic power, maybe a possible mid laner. Doesn't have too much sustain, though, like he was before, but, we'll keep going. So his alternate abilities are RMB. That CD here, so it goes down to 9 seconds. He's pretty, if you go, depending on what his overall build is, I mean, it looks like he has a lot of magic power scaling. So it's going to be, you could probably build ability haste pretty easily on him. And you can cut these down to like 6 seconds late game, even less, 6 to 5 seconds. So this could be very spam worthy. So his passive is really going to stack really well. I'm really curious how to see his sustain. So his RMB, light strikes a heavenly blade, dealing damage to nearby enemy units. So wherever the blade is, he shoots lightning down. While holding the blade, it deals magic power damage. and grants Kwang a shield equivalent to his magic power. Okay, so that's a sustain, I guess. If the blade is in the world, it deals magic power true damage. So this is when he does not. If the blade is in the world, he gets to just do straight true damage. So just the blade. So if the blade is there by itself, he gets to do true damage. So a Q RMB. Yeah, so a Q RMB and he gets to do raw true damage. Oh my god. This could be devastating. Alright then. So his ultimate, Kwang strikes with the Heavenly Blade. And does magical damage to all nearby enemies. So yeah, that's how it is. So if he's holding it, he just basically has like an AoE spin move. And it applies a slow. This is stuff I want to see. Give me slows and stuff. Don't give me hard CC. This is kind of what I want to see in general. I'd rather see a slow. Maybe an ultimate could have some hard CC, alright? Maybe an ultimate. I'm tired of hard CC on his basic abilities. If the blade is in the world, he teleports to it before striking, so similar to the old one. So he seems pretty monstrous. Alright, so store update, Heavenly Focus, boom. Faye the Autumn Keeper. Alright, she looks pretty nice. Very nice. How do I get out of here? Richter Diesel, I want this guy uninstalled from the game. I'm just tired of his hooks. I'm tired of people on my team getting hit by his hooks and feeding. But that's a pretty cool skin. It's a basic skin. Nothing's too. This one's a little interesting that it's common, but hey, I'll take it. As if I'm gonna buy the skin. So yeah, Winterfest 2023 skins last chance because of the bug in PlayStation. They are re-enabling it January 12th, and it will stay until January 19th. So you can still pick up the winter skins. Closed beta is soon coming to an end, but we'll see what happens. It probably will be full release at the end. Not full release of the game, but maybe you'll get console release just instantly after. I wouldn't be surprised if it was at least just maybe a 1 week break. So other improvements, controller users can now switch to virtual cursor. That's nice. So easier for controller users to use. The dead zone can be set to 0%. Added some hints to the in-game chat box. Okay. That's all right. I'm curious to see what kind of hint. Improved audio balance of various minion sound effects. Okay. They need to fix audio in a lot of minions. So here changes Crunch. Crunch used to have a he did, I guess still does till the patch. He had a hitbox bug where if he uses E and he died or something like that and he came back alive, that if you just literally walk up to someone, it'll just E them. Like it'll just do damage. It's like extra damage. So I guess they fixed it now. And maybe there's a different bug, honestly. But it seems like it. No, yeah. The hitbox will no longer persist. So it seems like it. Howitzer is actually getting a weird buff nerf. So this is a little interesting. He's getting a buff on his R2000. So he's going from the total scaling 70% to 75%. That's actually pretty hefty. And I kind of dislike simple abilities, like being able to do a lot of damage. I think his stuff is really easy to hit. But I mean, I think he kind of needs just a little bit, especially with just how his kit is. He's pretty predictable too. But the big thing is the Make It Rain Ultimate. They are increasing the missile count from 12 to 16, lowering the damage per missile, which you could see here. Before it used to be 420 if every single bullet hit. Now it's 416. And they also decreased the magic power scaling. So you are seeing, this is a 20% nerf right here. 25% nerf. And the damage per missile is decreasing. The only advantage is that it could give you some time to hit people with it. Is why I might say I put him slightly more onto the buff side. You know, and because I feel like I can almost, I don't know, majority of the time when I set up my plays, I feel like I can almost guarantee getting the hits. But when they blink and stuff, that's when I have like the issues. When they have gap closers, it's hard to hit them, right? So I'm kind of, I'll accept this and see how it cooks, especially with this R2000 buff. It's not that, I mean, it is a lot of damage, you know, especially the magic power scaling, you know, per missile. But I think it can cancel out with R2000 because after I throw an ult, I usually have a Q when I use a Q. So maybe the damage will kind of come back around, and this could be easier for people to hit. So it is, you know, you see a nerf on the ult, but the Q, which is your main ability that comes up every 8 seconds, right? It's kind of a big deal, I think, at least. I think it's still pretty good. Now we got this person. I hate Polari. Oh, nice. Oh, go back to dark mode. So ever since the crippling dagger, which they didn't do any type of change on it, which is stupid. I hate how they gave her crippling dagger buff and nerfed her ultimate, but her dagger is more available. Whatever. So they want to do some changes here where base mana was increased. So now she can has more mana to spam dagger, basically. Her regen was decreased, though. So technically it cancels out, but she has more base. And then they gave the physical power was decreased. Very minimal, but I guess depends on her total scaling, if it helps. Then the Shadow Walk primary, they decreased the duration of the invis by a second, which isn't necessarily that big of a deal. I mean, like, you know, of course a second is going to matter. But the problem is that the health regen is increased to try and accommodate for that 1 second. So in lane, at least as a mid laner and off laner, she's going to be able to get her health back faster. And she's still going to have the movement speed and the buff. So she's at least going to lose out on some of the movement speed in terms of 1 second off. But it's a little bit of a weird change, I think. I think, you know, she's very, very overpowered. She's broken. Because I don't consider her overpowered. Her kit is broken. As in, her kit is just not done well. But, so she did overall, yes, she got nerfed. But I would say she's neutral just because you got the healing buff for laning phases and all that stuff. It's not that big of a nerf in my opinion. All of the mana regen, I mean, you get one, so you're getting 1.72, now you're getting 1.4 mana per second. It's not that big of a thing, you know. She'll still have a ton of mana as a basic attack character for her jungle. She just will get a little bit punished in mid, maybe, but she does get like one more knife throw. So Kira, they added a few stuff on quality of life, just saying on hit modifiers, which is nice and it should be and it should be shown. They increased her damage on her ultimate, or total damage, so it's worth it. She has her ultimate is very hard to you know, profit off of. It is easily cancelable. Chimera getting quality of life, just the on hit modifier. Morigesh here, though, she is getting a base mana decrease from 410 to 395, mana growth increase from 35 to 38, and her hive mana cost is now going to 70 at all ranks instead of 80 and incrementing upwards. That's big, actually. I like that as a mid laner, but I also dislike Morgesh's kit. So, but I do enjoy playing her in a way, right? And then mana was increased on Swarm, but it's really not that drastic, and it's only for early game. So you don't use it that, like, that's fine. You know, what you're gonna save on Hive is pretty big, you know, and you're getting that the growth is gonna come back in really quick. So your overall mana is gonna be really nice on Morigesh, and she got, that's a pretty nice buff, I would say, for her laning phase. So Rampage here, this is the thing I found interesting. People are saying like Rampage isn't living up in the jungle and struggling to keep pace. He's still a phenomenal jungler. Like, he has one of the longest stuns in the game, has absolute insane pressure and peel. But they decided to buff him and nerf him, so they increase his mana 270 to 300. Base mana regen increased from 1 to 1.2. I haven't played him in a while, but this is kind of weird to me because I felt like his mana was really good for what his kit was in general, with his attack speed, passive, buff, and all that stuff. Now, physical armor growth was increased. I always hate that. I hate seeing that. So there's just going to be tankier, and I thought he was already a ridiculous tank. So the boulder toss, this is actually a nice little change here, though. Mana cost was increased. Nice. I like that. Stun duration decreased from 1.6, so it used to be incrementally going up. Now it's just 1.6 at all ranks. Nice. I was so sick and tired of how long that freaking rock lasted. The cooldown is decreased, though, and it might even allow him to basically get a rock, ult, and then get another rock. Like, it's with the change to his ultimate cooldown. Or sorry, how long his ultimate lasts. So I'm a little bit worried about the cooldown, though. But we'll see. The damage was increased early game, which actually really sucks. That 28, that's a ton of HP. That's a very sizable buff for early game. Especially, God, that's such a sizable buff. All right, his rumble. So damage decreased from 90 to 45. This is probably where, you know, it probably cancels out with the rock. Because I think the rock is really easy to hit, as I've played him, and it was easy to hit. The rumble is nice, but right here, so 50% bonus scaling to 90% physical power scaling. So you're getting a lot more scaling right here. So this, in reality, is going to get canceled out as you scale up into late game. So late game, you'll be very strong. But of course, this is if you go physical power. And I think you do go like one item, maybe two items physical power on ramp if you're very dominant. Because he scales very hard if he is ahead. As his kit is just monstrous. But the stun is getting nerfed, so maybe not as bad. Slow is increased on his rumble 20 to 25. Slow duration is decreased from 1.25 to 1 second. That's kind of nice. Cooldown is decreased from 8, and it's incrementally going down, which is that's pretty big. That's gonna allow. Oh my god, that's gonna be monstrous. 6 seconds. I don't know, and you get cooldown with your tank items. That's gonna be pretty big. Enrage cooldown reduction decreased from 50% to 40%. Yeah. So when you're enraged, you get less cooldown on it. So that's probably what cancels out a little bit, because he's gonna most likely ult or enrage and then do that. So Behemoth ultimate duration is increased from 8, 9, 10 to 8, 10, 12. That's big. That's huge. Passive healing multiplier decreased from 4 times to 3.5x, so he's not going to heal as much. That's going to help Tainted out a lot. Or getting Tainted and being able to try to shut him down really quick. And then temporary health is increased from 250 to 300 in late game, so it's basically just going up by 50. That's not that bad. It's an extra basic. And then here's a Richter. So we technically got a Richter nerf, but I don't think this actually fixes his core issue. This probably at least helps him from not being as influential in other lanes, but it's a very minimal armor growth. It's like what, not even 10%. Riot shield passive, max health shield decrease from 15 to 13%. I mean, you're just missing out on 2%. Once again, it's not massive, and it's interesting that it even has a riot shield in my opinion, or has a shield in my opinion as a Richter. But I'd like to see some sort of rework with his grab, like just a better design character that isn't dependent on one ability being so, you know, monumental in fights. So Sarah just getting the on hit modifier, same thing with Twin Blast. Wraith is getting, I don't care what any of this stuff says, honestly. I read this one, and I mean, you do care, but the damage is decreased on his Q. Bonus physical power scaling is increased, so it kind of cancels out. 35% magical power scaling was added to the Q. And then max health damage decreased from... So now you're getting a max health decrease, which is nice, and I think it's worth it. But it's only really for early game, so it's whatever. It matters mostly as you get into late game. And it's not very big of a change. And the cooldown was decreased more towards later game. And the mark duration, this was actually pretty big. I approve of this one. Mark duration is decreased from 5 seconds to 3.5 seconds. It lasted very long. You could literally use your R&B, you miss it, use your Torment on your Omen, and then you basically would have it back up and then still have that stack on. You should get punished for missing the R&B, in my opinion. Physical penetration is decreased on his surprise. So like it sounds like an overall nerfish, you know, with that. Like overall in this kit. And then you get to knock. Damage increased from 30 to 50 early game, and then it just, you know, it scales up or scales back to what it was. Total physical power scaling was decreased by 5%. Not bad. You know, I think that's overall pretty fair. Mana cost increased from 60 to 80. Oh no, they increased his mana. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do now? It's a lot of mana. Wait for it. Cooldown decreased from 12 to 10. This is huge. That's big. That's a buff. Mana refund on kill or mark increased from 50% to 100%. He's gonna get buffed. He's never gonna run out of mana. Oh my god, man. Mind Razor. Holy moly. Let's see if they did an item change to Mind Razor. Holy moly, he's gonna have infinite mana basically when it comes to pushing a wave. You can just RMB everything late game. That's it. That's insane. I can't believe they're not even doing 70%. They're not even, they're like, why play Fae? Why even play Fae? Bonus minion damage decreased from 75% to 40%. So you do have that, but man, that's just gonna be a practice. Once you get that, you have full mana on wave clear. Like, you do so much damage on minions. This is respectable. This is needed to happen, and you still will do a ton of damage. So, you know, it is a pretty big nerf, but oh my god, this is gonna be wild. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see how the game looks. So item changes. Obelisk is getting a nerf on damage per soul. Tranquility, heal and shield power decreased from 10% to 8%. Worth it. Sanction is also basically getting that too. Worth it. Dust Devil is getting Dust Devil's passive allows for too much freedom in positioning. Due to its uptime, it can be easily maintained even with a break in the action. Hit to reduce its duration is needed to better enforce its wielders to risk staying in fight should they want to reap benefits to its full effect. They decreased how long the menace duration. But I don't know. I haven't seen this item that much. So I'm really interested in why they looked into doing a nerf. But maybe it was some 200 IQ play that I just never knew about. The Resolution is receiving a small overhaul. Its Dark Steel passive no longer acts as damage over time, but as on-hit damage. Okay. That's actually good. It might bring it back in the meta. This change will better allow it to stand strong as an on-hit option, respectable damage that is better suited for mana-hungry heroes, therefore opening up new possibilities in build paths. Maybe Drongo? Maybe Twin Blast, honestly, even though he has phenomenal mana control, like compared to what his kit offers and his basic damage. But we are getting a nerf on it coming up next, so we'll talk about Stormbreaker. Physical power is decreased 40 to 35, okay. Attack speed was increased 20 to 25%. Mana was increased, so it'll scale better. Midnight missing mana restore on hit decreased from 3% to 1%. I don't know too much about this, so I can't. I mean, it's a little bit weird. That's a pretty big nerf. So Rapid Rapier will replace Composite Bow. Reworked Dark Steel. Basic attack steal bonus on hit equal to 3% of your maximum HP. That's gonna be pretty interesting. That's what it was. Wait. Midnight missing mana restore on hit decrease. I'm confused right here. From 3% to 1%. Is this supposed to be a 1%? I don't know. This is a little bit questionable. I wonder about resolution. Stormbreaker had a bug. Chain Zap now correctly modifies damage with hero on hit modifiers. He was doing like 200% more damage with Twin Blast. And it took so long for them to fix this. They're not even going to fix it before PCC group stage, which is kind of crazy too. This item should have been like non-existent or just like muted, whatever you call it, disabled. Because this item is literally what breaks Twin Blast and why so many high elo players are playing him. It changed his entire kit. He was applying like 200% on hit or something. Like it's insane. Don't quote me on like the exact percent, but it's a big difference, like compared to what it's supposed to do. And they just didn't freaking significantly reduce the item's raw power. It was bad, and they didn't do anything. Once again, disappointed in why this wasn't disabled. Early access, sure, but you know, I like to play the game. Infernum is getting mana increase 200 to 250. I haven't built too much at Infernum. Even on Wraith, I found it not being as influential. Even on like majority of ADCs and whatnot, not being that great. Berserker Ask is still struggles to compete with other competing options such as Basilisk due to its lower haste amount. They're increasing the haste to make it a better standalone source. Bone Seeker is getting a little extra attack speed to make it more attractive as a standalone source for any hero that it needed. That needs it. Attack speed increased from 30% to 35%. Caustica, so they are reducing the magic power and they're replacing Potent Staff with Scepter. Not bad. I honestly kind of like this a little bit because now I can buy an item faster, and I know it's 5 magic power, right? But the amount of times where I couldn't buy Potent Staff, and if I could have bought a Scepter, that it might have actually helped a lot more in lane. So I'm not too bad against this. I'll take it. They didn't nerf the pen. I'm happy with that. Mega Cosm. As a mid lane main, this is a huge change. So to simplify, on Mega Cosm had 2 abilities. It had Disintegrate and it had Atomize. Disintegrate did 3.5% damage over 3 seconds based on their max HP. And Atomizer, what it did was you had to use an ability which applies Disintegrate, and if they still have Disintegrate and you use another ability on top of them, it will do damage equal to, I think, 3 or 4% of their max HP. So it wasn't, you know, it was all right. But now we're getting a change to be more oriented. So that was really strong against squishies because strict max HP. Now they're basically switching. They're switching it from max HP to bonus HP. So Disintegrate deals additional damage equal to 4% of their bonus HP. So it is going to be stronger against tanks, but it's going away from squishies. This is probably going to be a later item build now, and Mega Cosm is gonna get affected, unfortunately. So we're probably gonna have to look back into Combustion, maybe Amirs, maybe Orb of Growth. We have to go maybe Azure Core. We'll take a look at it, you know, as the update comes. Tainted Totem health is decreased from 250 to 200. I haven't really seen this item built that much, so I'm a little surprised by that. At least in scrims. So, Wellspring, so Soothing's Water max health healing is decreased. Yes. Yeah. This needed to be changed. This thing was so broken late game on Muriel. Soothing Water's cooldown refund on basic attack decreased from 1 second to 2 seconds. Cooldown refund. Okay. So more basic attacks allows her to heal or get it faster. Oh. Okay. We'll see. I like to see at least that it got nerfed initially. Unbroken Will. This got hit really hard. So let's see. A quick follow-up adjustment to Unbroken Will to better cement its identity as durable tenacity and anti-CC options for anyone struggling against a CC-heavy team. Health is decreased. Tenacity was increased. Okay, so 10%. So it got a 50% buff on it. Base health regen was decreased from 150 to 0. They just got rid of base health regen. Recipe, so they changed the recipe. Undying duration increased from 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds. That's the armor, applying the armor and stuff. I kind of wish they say what undying duration, or it's like a hyperlink to it. So okay, you're gonna be a little tankier. I don't know that item. I don't know. This sounds kind of lame. I don't know. This sounds really lame. Maybe I'm just gapped though. This isn't the type of item I like to build. I'm very damage heavy. So we got a lot of the bug fixes here. I'm not gonna go through the bug fixes. I'll post this in the video. If you guys want me to, please let me know, as it's my, I can do it and I'll just read it off at the very end for those interested. But let me know. Next video we'll do it if I have people asking for it. But my opinion on the patch, I think this patch is pretty lame. I am very disappointed on just like what this patch is bringing. I've been doing a lot of scrims, and there's so many characters right now that are like broke, even in high elo and all that. So many characters. I think that this current meta has been the worst. And I have 2,000 games. Maybe I'm biased because I'm just so like burnt out or something, right? And I'm not necessarily burnt out. I want to play this game, but it's been hard to with matchmaking. But I feel like this meta is the worst meta, and the best meta was before the ADC change. And I've said ADCs needed a buff, but they got a little bit too strong of a buff. And this meta, in my opinion, is absolutely unfun to play. It is a very, very upsetting meta. It's hard CC everywhere, and we're not seeing changes to really hard. We got a little bit changes to hard CC, right? But still, Richter, what happened to them? Those are the ones I'm having an issue with. And it's not necessarily Greystone. Greystone can get punished, but in high elo games and whatnot, man, he's so disgusting with how tanky and how much damage he does, and just everything. And it's not necessarily that like he needs like probably a little bit of punishment just on that ultimate or something. He shouldn't be able to tank towers when he ults on tower and take no damage. It should de-aggro or something and hit someone. It needs things like that. So I'm a little disappointed in, you know, in terms of not seeing changes on the characters I felt were more, you know, there. Wraith, I didn't think Wraith really needed too much changes, but I think his invis is really broken, just like Kalari, right? In high helo play, all you have to do as Wraith is go find the squishy with your invis, ult them, set their position up, guaranteed. They either waste the cleanse to where you can engage really easily on them, or everyone just CCs whoever it is that you ulted. Like, you know, and then that was kind of it. And I want him to be rewarded. And I feel like they kind of did that, but man, I don't know. He's gonna be. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen to him in the upcoming patch, because I think he's gonna be a monster late game clearing lanes. Holy crap. And then, you know, everyone else, I'm just like, this person, I'm disappointed to see this, nothing happen to this person. It's just way too much. I hate the invis mechanic. You're gonna hear that from me. But she bursts so much. You're only limited to 2 wards. She can literally see when a ward is placed in her invis. It's horrid. I hate that. And same thing with Wraith. It's stupid. It's garbage design. So that's my opinion on the patch. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't want to drag it on too much. But yeah, if you enjoyed, let me know that in the comments, as it does motivate me and help me a lot when I do make videos, hearing from the community. And if you did enjoy as well, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all. Take it easy. Have a good one. Good luck on your games. Peace.